And the discussion topic will be, is feminism necessary? And I expect that the mere asking of that question is going to evoke more gasps of outrage and more animosity from the audience than a similar but slightly different question asked at a recent monk debate, actually a resolution. Be it resolved, men are obsolete. What are the implications of that word when it's applied not to a tool or an appliance or a software program, not even to a set of ideas or a philosophy, but to a demographic of people, human beings designated solely by an accident of birth? What does it say about us as people that we're totally cool with that? Be it resolved, men are obsolete. You might as well say, men, justify your existence. You know, I'm not going to bore everyone here with the mind-boggling array of statistics that prove that men are not, in fact, obsolete. Anyone can go look at the Census Bureau's labor statistics and observe that it is almost entirely men who keep the lights on, the water running, and the planes from falling out of the sky. Our comfortable, mostly smoothly operating, safe, orderly existence is built and maintained almost entirely by men. Suffice to say that if all men walked off the proverbial job at work and at home for 3 days, we would be 3 years cleaning up the mess. It takes a particular brand of narcissism to be able to sit in a climate-controlled office building or stand on a stage in front of a national audience and declare that a class of people who comprise over 90% of the individuals who build and maintain the whole shebang are candidates for the scrapyard because they're no longer good enough for us. And if men are obsolete, all I can say is it's an engineered obsolescence, engineered by institutional social and legal policies that prioritize women's participation in school and at work, that prioritize their feelings and minimize any harm a woman might do, enabled by the very level of comfort, convenience, and safety provided mostly by men, which ensures most women will go through their entire lives never having to perform even once any of the types of tasks necessary to keep the food moving from farm to grocery store, or even to see that work as it's happening. Most of us are so divorced psychologically from the absolutely necessary labor of mostly men that make our lives livable. It's like we believe that box of cereal appeared on the store shelf just by magic. Women are net consumers of the product being our safe, comfortable, convenient, and plentiful society. Its manufacturers are nearly all men. Obsolete indeed. The monk debate resolution was argued for and against by 4 women. 4 feminist women, though I'm not sure Camille Pallia's self-applied label dovetails with her dissident views, and her opening statement contained none of the condescensions of Maureen Dowd's, who likened men to an unnecessary but appreciated indulgence. I believe she compared them to ice cream. Pallia's speech, mirroring much of what I've said here, should have sealed the debate for her side, if anyone in the audience were capable of wrapping their heads around what life would be like without men. Instead, the women arguing in favor of the resolution managed to convince a lot of people in that audience who had disagreed with the resolution at the outset to change their minds by the end. Not long after, TV Ontario's Steve Paikin did an episode of The Agenda where he assembled a panel of all men, including U of T professor of psychology Jordan Peterson and Cafe's own Adam McPhee, as well as some pro-feminist men, to discuss the implications of the debate and the position of men in society currently and moving into the future. A commenter on the YouTube upload of that episode criticized the host for not having a single woman on the panel. This is where you're at, gentlemen. It is somehow just fine for 4 women whose entire careers have been built on putting a focus on women's needs, lives, status, well-being, health, and experiences to debate the resolution that men are obsolete. It is apparently completely unacceptable that a bunch of men with differing perspectives assemble on a current events show to discuss that debate and the questions it raises regarding men's needs, lives, status, well-being, health, and experiences. Not having a woman on such a panel is somehow unfair. And the sad thing is, the commenter wasn't even a feminist. Indeed, she seemed quite opposed to feminism, but she still deemed it unfair and inappropriate to have an all-male panel talking about men's lives and experiences. You know, it's almost like people in general don't trust men to engage in a conversation about men with other men. They can talk about golf or the traffic or work or the economy, just not about their lives as men. It's almost like people believe men have no right to an opinion about themselves. That men require the civilizing influence and constant monitoring of women in any such discussion so that they don't do or say anything bad or come to any inappropriate conclusions. And sometimes, as we see here at Ryerson, being a woman is not enough. You have to be the right kind of woman. Not long ago, at this university, those 2 women and 1 man applied to the Students' Union for official status, and in response, you all have heard what the Students' Union did. Their charter now implies that the very idea of men talking about their problems outside of the ideological framework of feminism is misogyny, and that any men's rights group doing so is automatically a hotbed of misogynistic thinking that promotes violence against women. Unpoliced thoughts and speech are dangerous things, don't you know, especially if they're being thought or spoken by a man. Feminism is not just the privileged voice on this topic. It demands a monopoly on it. Other voices and opinions should be gagged or shouted down. Look at the objection to this event. I might be a woman, but I'm not a woman's woman. I'm not a feminist. And therefore, any ideas I have about gender issues, whether they be about men and masculinity or women and femininity, are dangerous, misogynistic, and invalid. The very fact that I consider feminism a flawed and invalid model of how the world works is so offensive. It requires that the world be protected from me.